Hey yo, it's Retro. Welcome to another video, y'all. So today, I want to talk about Ultimate Endgame, specifically Ultimate Endgame number 1, Ultimates number 19, and Ultimates number 20. If y'all are new, Ultimate Endgame is the big blockbuster event for this new Ultimate Universe. And after 24 months, 2 full years of this new Ultimate Universe publishing titles, the maker, the big villain, has finally returned, and the Ultimates are ready to face them. At least that's what we're supposed to think. Granted, Ultimate Endgame number 1 was a fantastic issue. The team behind this book does a really good job to give us everything we've been expecting, and then right at the end subvert the absolute hell out of us. Like, I wasn't really sure how this book was going to land for me, because quite frankly, I've enjoyed The Ultimates by Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri and Phil Noto, but the other titles I've kind of been up and down on. Like I've said in my Ultimate Spider-Man video, I enjoyed it when I read it all together, but month to month that was a very tough read. Ultimate X-Men I felt the same way about, and then Ultimate Black Panther I enjoyed at the beginning, started falling off, and then now I feel like what's happening at the end is trying to pick up where it fell off, and it's not really landed for me. Ultimate Wolverine is a book that's publishing. I'm not talking about that. I haven't read it, don't even care to, quite frankly, but I was very skeptical about this book. I didn't know if Dennis Camp was ready for a book like this, but if this first issue is any indication, I think we're more than good. I think we're in a very, very good place. So let's get into it. The road to Ultimate Endgame has been very, very long. 2 years, but like feels a lot longer. Quite, I'm be honest. We had Ultimate Invasion, which was a 4-issue miniseries event that Jonathan Hickman and Brian Hitch were working on to basically reinvent the Ultimate Universe. Take the maker, who is the ultimate version of Reed Richards, that became a villain, and they took him, broke him out of jail, out of his, I think it was like a black hole jail or something. I have no idea. It was a very complicated jail so that he could stay put. They had him create a new Ultimate Universe, Earth 6160, a time-traveling machine to change all of the events of that Earth. A Earth that very closely resembled Earth 616, our main Marvel Universe. And he went and changed things here and there. Some people didn't become superheroes, some people did. Some people did become the identities that they have now, like Magic and Colossus. However, they did turn evil. So a lot of things would happen that changed this universe fundamentally. And it was a interesting event. At first I did not like it because I felt like Hickman's decompressed dialogue did not land as well as I wanted it to for an event. And then once you read it in its totality and realize like what he's doing, it's all set up at the end of the day. Like, Jonathan Hickman has become the guy that just blows things up and kind of sets them for the other team to, play in the sandbox, which I don't think is a bad idea. But I also do think a 4-issue event could have been extended to 6 and could have had a lot more space to stretch. But they didn't. And they just did Ultimate Invasion 4 issues that ended with the maker and a Ultimate Universe version of Kang fighting to a stalemate until the maker was imprisoned in his city, the city. It's just the best way to explain it. It's just a pocket dimension where he like has, I don't really know how to explain it. He has a pocket dimension in this universe, and that's where he is stuck now. He is in prison. So that ends, and we get the Ultimate Universe number 1, a one-shot that kind of details what the Ultimates, this team that Iron Lad, Thor, and Captain America, who they take out of the ice, are going to do, which is followed up by The Ultimates by Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. We also see a bit of a glimpse of what's going on in Wakanda and the Black Panther, the situation going on there with the Ultimate Moon Knight as well. There's a whole war in Wakanda. Really interesting premise. You also have Ultimate X-Men being, teased at in this issue, and then also Ultimate Spider-Man, which is really the first big solo title that comes out of this event / one shot that jumpstarts this whole universe. The first year of these titles were, I feel like, very hit or miss. The Ultimates was probably I think to this day, the Ultimates is still the best book from this line. Dennis Camp is very intentional in the way that he writes and writes superheroes. He tries to, I feel like he is, every bit of a Grant Morrison, disciple, while also being just his own person. Like he has the abstract, he has the, big, high concepts, but he also has his own style of pushing them through and how he's able to, meld them into this really great story. The Ultimates really feels like the mainline book for this entire universe, where the plot through line goes through this book, and it's great. I talked about the first 6 issues on it. I'm going to talk about it more, but this is an incredible title. Ultimate Spider-Man, I felt like in the first 12 issues did not capture me as much as I wanted it to, but going back, as you guys will know in my Ultimate Spider-Man video, I did enjoy it quite a bit. Ultimate Black Panther, I wrote about it a lot on, Gate Crashers, so shout out to Dan and them. And I wrote about Black Panther on their site, and I enjoyed it at first. I was really enjoying like this kind of prototypical take on Black Panther that we never really got. Like we had the Christopher Priest Black Panther run, but it's not really like what we expect from a Black Panther run, quite frankly, especially seeing how the MCU adapted everything and looking back. This felt like the most Ultimate Spider-Man from the 2000s by Bendis and Bagley version of Black Panther, and in a lot of good ways and a lot of bad ways. I don't feel like the month-to-month format was conducive to Bryan Hill's writing style. I do feel like in 24 issues he could have gotten a lot more done if they weren't beholden to that format there, but I understand what they were going for. Ultimate X-Men, another book that I do think is very fantastic, and I think, breaks a lot of boundaries for what it's doing. It's a, Western shoujo comic manga, basically, and set in the Marvel Universe. I think Peach Momoko is a great writer and artist. She is incredible in that damn book. I really enjoyed what she did. At first, I was it's weird because I enjoyed Ultimate X-Men to begin with, and then I felt like it was meandering. And then when I read it, and it's, once I read it up to like issue 23 and I caught up and everything, I was like, okay, I'm here, I'm back. This is still like a fantastic book. And I love what she's doing with this whole like youth mutant liberation thing. Really dope stuff. Throughout all of this, you also had one-shots like Ultimate 1 Year In, which was basically kind of an interlude for the Ultimate Universe. We see a bit of we get the curtain pulled a bit on the Hand and the Maker's Cabal, basically the evil, villain force that is imposing the Maker's will all over this universe. We see also a bit like of this universe's Nick Fury, who is not necessarily what we think he is. He is the absolute opposite of the Nick Fury that we all know and love, which I think is a very interesting take to do. He is a ploy, he is a puppet, like he is not an actual person, and he is just working as the puppet for the Maker's Cabal, and he's kind of in purgatory because every time he figures out that what's going on, he gets killed and is reset. A really dope concept to do. And then Ultimate 2 Years In was another one where we learn about a lot of stuff going on in the cosmic space of everything. We see more of the Guardians of the Galaxy of this Ultimate Universe, what they've been doing, what they're doing to kind of help and aid in the Ultimates' effort to fight against the Maker. And that also basically like shifts the Ultimates mission statement from being, save the world to save what you can. And it's incredible. I really did enjoy Dennis Camp's like effort in fully fleshing out this, universe. He does a lot through the Ultimates and these 2 one-shots to really flesh out like what goes on in this world, outside of like the main solo titles, and those are just one-shots, and he does a lot. He is really spearheading this like imprint, and it's cool. I really enjoyed it. The Ultimates also had like a countdown to the Maker's return, which made the universe feel extremely tangible and felt like we were throttling towards like a ultimate showdown, which was, I really enjoyed Dennis Camp including that in of every issue, and it leads up basically to Ultimate Endgame. And I didn't think it would lead up into the plot of the story as much as it did, but it was very masterful in how he and the team kind of made this countdown be a part of the story, not just be this thing where like, yeah, this event is happening and that's it. No, it is a part of the story as well, and I really enjoyed that. So I talked enough about the lead up to Ultimate Endgame, and now let's really talk about it. So Ultimate Endgame, we're finally here after 24 months. Like I said, we are here, and it opens up straight up with the Eternals being killed, and we see the Maker is the one behind this. Of course he is. Like, of course he is the one killing the Eternals. He explains his plan to remake this universe in a grand experiment, and how he will burn it all down and start it again if it fails, which was an amazing encapsulation of the Maker thus far, showing the truly dark side of this universe's Reed Richards and how much he mirrors our main 616 Reed. Like, Reed is very much a, you know, he is a scientist through and through. He is a discoverer, and he does it at any means, while also, you know, he still has his boundaries though. He won't do anything. He's not going to give up his family for it. I feel like the absolute flip side of that would be the Maker, where he is going to do anything. He is going, if it helps him, he's going to do it and experiment until he can't, basically. Which was it was a great intro to this series and to this issue that made, you know, the ending also feel a lot better. I really enjoyed what they did with the ending there. We switched to the situation in New York, where Tony is rounding up all of the important people in this universe to get ready to fight the Maker. You have Spider-Man, America Chavez, Iron Lad, and there's, I think, one more person I can't remember him off the top of my head. Maybe. Yeah, whatever. But basically, this is all running alongside, you know, Ultimates 19, and that runs immediately after this issue ends, and we'll talk about that later as well. But a tragic and wonderful issue, and basically Endgame up to this point is counting down to the very second to when the Maker is free. Everyone is panicking. Everyone does not know what's going on until Tony is cut off from all of his copied selves. He's been using his Immortus engine, which is like a time travel device that's allowed him to create like alternate timelines of himself. And he is using it to work through all of them. Basically, like, they are copied alternate universe, alternate like timeline versions of him that he controls every single one. And he is everywhere on the situation in New York, in Detroit. He is at every battlefield currently to help in the effort against the Maker, and he is cut off from all of them. They're all left, you know, to their own devices at that point. This moment is extremely poignant, and we see every single copy that he had disappear from every situation he was in. It's a really great showing of how dire the situation is. It's very effective. We see the Ultimates Network, which is what the team has been operating on to connect everyone who believes in their mission statement, people and superheroes. That's brought down as well. The chips are drastically against the Ultimates at this point. Everyone is failing as the Maker makes his grand appearance, only for the group of Iron Lad, Reed Richards Doom, America Chavez, and Spider-Man to be inside the city, the Maker's futuristic power center, where he has been imprisoned for the last 2 years. The team are met by his Children of the Vault, who have the ability to literally delete people until they are rescued by a bounty hunter. Like, this whole part of the issue just felt like a Grant Morrison issue from New X-Men or his JLA. Like, it felt like a Grant Morrison, you know, story, and it's great. And this bounty hunter takes him to this old man who is, you know, basically fighting against the Maker in this. And we find out it's a Howard Stark. Howard Stark is alive this whole entire time. If you don't remember, in Ultimate Invasion, the fight between Kang and the Maker ended in an explosion where we thought Howard Stark died, but this whole time he's been here fighting against the Maker. There's a lot of revelations, and the biggest one really, and as the issue ends, is the Maker is the city. This city, instead of being imprisoned by it, he enveloped the entire thing, and he is a part of the entire city. This entire futuristic power center is the Maker, and that's how the issue ends, and it's phenomenal. I'm very excited to see where this whole like series goes. Like, this Ultimate Endgame just felt like it was going to be like, you know, bombastic battle between the Maker and the Ultimates, and this feels like it's even more like, impossible now. But I love what Dennis Camp and Jonas Scharf and Terry Dodson are doing. The art in this is phenomenal. We have an incredible art team on this book. I'm very excited to see what they do with this like idea and concept here. Great issue. I was floored by how Dennis Camp brought these 2 years together into this issue. And it's sad that this universe is ending. I really enjoyed the books that have come out. I think it was an incredible initiative for Marvel to do, and it's ending. So it's gonna be like an ultimate farewell. But I'm going to miss the series. But yeah, amazing issue. And then this, like I said, goes hand in hand with Ultimates 19, which finally details how Janet Van Dyne is connected to the Hand, and we get a full backstory for her. This issue is beautiful, it's tragic, it's the first time we get a real deep dive into Janet Van Dyne's character, and we realize how important she is. She grew up rich, of course. She meets Hank really young, and they would go on to be really great friends that would eventually become romantic and complicated as well. You see the complexity of her character with, dealing with a character like Hank Pym, and this is just very well written. Like I really enjoyed how Dennis Camp wrote this story, because it's a backstory I didn't expect for Janet Van Dyne, at least in this universe. We get the reveal like an issue or two ago that she is a sleeper agent, and I think that she's evil this whole time. But then we see like what really happens, and we see that Hank is incredibly brilliant, and he's working for Janet's father. So that's how they are able to be so closely connected at this time. But eventually, as the Maker does, he would tamper with this and cause Hank to be in a car crash where, at least I think the Maker was involved. I'm not entirely sure, but I want to say he is. But at this point, he not only loses his intelligence, but he becomes a fool. He becomes an amnesiac. Like, he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember his life. He doesn't remember what he's done. He doesn't even remember Janet Van Dyne. But what he does still have is his compassion, and that's where Janet still, falls for him. Janet's father would drop him from his company and would want Janet to no longer see him. But Janet's torn. Like, at this point, he has a new life. She wants to leave him alone because he is no longer the man that she loves. But she's broken, and all through that, like I said, Hank's compassion still shows for Janet, and he still shows how much he does care about her without even knowing who she is. And that moment led to Janet basically being like, they leave together, they still have a life together, and they, distance themselves from Janet's father. They start their extermination company, and, that's basically where we lead up to, Tony finding them and joining the Ultimates. But sometime before that happens, she would be introduced to this figure who we all think, I feel like when reading this, you would think it's Nick Fury, who wants to recruit her and work for him. But we find out that all these nights where Janet is, going out late and, going out just to like have fun and stuff like that while Hank Pym is at home, we find out that she is actually working with the Vision, who is, another extremely interesting character. And this whole time, the Vision is who subverts this entire issue and battle. And while this is all going on, by the way, like, this is just a flashback. While the Ultimates are fighting the Hand, while this is all happening, the Vision appears, and this is the person who turns the tide of this battle against the Hand. And that also dovetails into Ultimates number 20, which just is also another like huge backstory issue that shows what happened to John Hammond, the Human Torch, because I even forgot this. He does kind of disappear after a while. The Human Torch went back in time to Detroit and took over a factory, became a new person, and he has the whole speech about the ship of Theseus and all that kind of stuff about what happens when you change every part of a boat. Is it still a boat? If it's still the same boat, or is it a new boat? All that kind of stuff. And you see him while he's saying that speech, you see him change every part of his face to become the Vision. Actually, a really good rendition of that like speech about the book of Theseus, or the ship of whatever the hell it's called, the Theseus thing. It's great. This is one of Dennis Camps's best Ultimates issue. We see how much the Vision has actually been fighting Nick Fury in the background, and why basically the Hand doesn't have the upper hand at this point. Number 20 is a phenomenal issue as well. That just came out, so I won't delve too much into it, but we get that whole backstory between Nick Fury and the Vision, and how this whole thing, how this whole fight just like kind of just turns the tide with the Vision being included. Yeah, the Endgame, Ultimate Endgame this is going to be a great, final few issues for the Ultimate Universe. It looks like, I think the Ultimates and Ultimate Endgame are going to be the only two books that are going to be still running up to the end of the universe. And I'm really interested, like, how this is all going to just like stop, what they're going to do. I really have no idea, but I'm excited. This is going to be I feel like it's going to be a great ending to a great universe. I know it is sad, like I said, like a lot of people are sad about that this universe is ending. We finally got like a lot of things that people wanted, but I also feel like good things do come to an end, whether it's Marvel doing it or whether it's just the fact that, look, Jonathan Hickman said this was going to be 2 years, and I guess Marvel really listened to him this time. It's a complicated situation. I had a feeling this universe was not going to be like long-standing like the original Ultimate Universe. I feel like Marvel learned their lesson and realized, okay, good things may not have to, run forever, and it's because they will ruin it. Let's just end it right here before Marvel ruins it. So I'm okay with this happening. But yeah, what do y'all think about Ultimate Endgame, Ultimates 19 and Ultimates number 20? I felt like these were just some of the, this was like 3 amazing issues that happened back to back to back. The last 2 months of comics were just, for those two only, not following a lot, but for those two alone, just incredible issues. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about these 3 issues. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next video, man. Peace.